Welcome to another wonderful math class lesson video thing. You need to get a whiteboard, a marker, and an eraser. If you don't have one, please pause the video and go get one. Today you're going to learn something sort of new, sort of not new. We already learned frames and arrows, and today you're going to learn about frames and arrows that have two different rules. You're going to have a solid filled in arrow and you're going to have a dotted arrow. Each arrow will have a different rule. Okay? But first, some mental math. You don't need your whiteboards for the next couple of questions because these are things that you should be able to do in your head. First question. Damien is 6 years old. Maya is 9 years older. How old is Maya? Pause it and think. Well, I'm going to write some things down. This is what you should have been thinking about. Okay? Damien is 6 and Maya is 9 years older. How old is Maya? Well, that's pretty easy. All I have to do is add Maya's age to Damien's age. And that makes Maya 15 because I know that 6 plus 9 is 15. Maya is 15 years old. Going to get a little bit harder. Jenna has $4. Martina has $12. How many more dollars does Jenna need in order to have the same amount of money as Martina? Jenna has 4, Martina has 12. How many more would Jenna need to get to 12? So pause it and think about it. So here's what this looks like. Jenna has $4. And I want to know how many more she's going to need to equal 12. Okay? So you may want to think about a number line, or you may want to think about a fact triangle. If I'm thinking about a number line, okay, it's going to look like this. There's some numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It would keep going and going and going. So if I start at 4 and I'm going to end at 12, I just want to count my jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means that Jenna would need to get $8 more to equal up to Martina. Okay, the other way to think about it, like I said, would be a fact triangle. I'm going to zoom in right here. So if I had a little fact triangle, and my 12 was at the top, and I had 4 over here, what would I need to have here? Well, I would need to have an 8 there, because 4 plus 8 equals 12. 8 plus 4 equals 12. 12 minus 4 would equal 8. And 12 minus 8, a lot of arrows, would equal 4. But you guys already know how fact triangles work. So my answer was $8. Next question. Jackson has 14 sports magazines in his collection. Louis has 9. How many more magazines does Louis need in order to have the same number of magazines as Jackson? It's the exact same question as the last one, just some different numbers. Pause it and think about it. Okay. Louis has 9 plus something will get me to 14. Same exact thing. I can either use subtraction. I can take 14 minus 9 to get my answer, or I can count up from 9 to 14. So I think about my number line. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If I start my number line at 9 and end at 14, how many would I go? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. Or Louis would need to have 5. Why won't that just go away? I don't understand why that didn't do that. Anyway, you need to have 5 magazines. Okay, let's get into this now. This is an example of our old, easy, single frames and arrows. On each arrow, I'm just going to be adding 5 all the way down. pretending like I'm having nickels. Okay? So if I'm counting by fives, 10, 15, 20, right here I would have, yep, 25. Right there I would have 30, yep, and then the last one is 35. And I am so smart, and I know that if I started at 5 and I add 5, that would get me to 10. Okay? But check this out. Look at these closely. 10 cents plus 10 cents will get me to 20 cents. But now you notice I have a different arrow. I got this crazy dotted arrow in here. And my number goes from 20 cents down to 15 cents. Then I have another solid arrow with a plus 10, and I go from 15 to 25. Well, what on earth happened from here to here? Pause it and talk, or pause it and think. Well, I hope that you said it went down, and it went down by 5. So I have two rules. I have my solid arrow that is plus 10, and then I have my brand new fandangled dotted arrow that's minus 5. That's two different arrows. All I have to do is pretend like I'm a robot and do whatever the arrows say. So let's try a couple. Okay, so you got to look closely first at all of these problems. I have two rules. A solid arrow is adding 10. A dotted arrow is subtracting 5. So 10 cents plus 10, and I'm going to go ahead and write my rule above each arrow. I think it's a great idea for you guys to get into that habit too. Plus 10 here. On the dotted arrow, I see right here that I need to subtract 5. Whenever I see a dotted arrow, I'm going to subtract 5. I'm actually just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go over this in a different color just so we can see it. I'm going to find another one. Oh, there's another one right there. That's a minus 5-er. And oh, there's another one right here. That's a minus 5-er. I'm going to go back to my solid ones. Those were plus 10 here and plus 10 here. So I should be able to look now. Okay, 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 minus 5 is 15. 15 plus 10 is 25. 25 minus 5, what's going to be right here? Write that on your boards. What's going to be right here? If you said 20, you were right. Okay, 20 plus 10, what's going to be right here? Write it on your board. 30. And 30, following my dotted arrow, minus 5. What's going to be on my box there? 25. Okay, erase your boards. We're going to do a new one. Okay, so here's the new one. And be careful. It's not the same as the last one. I have my two rules. I have my subtract 10, and I have my add 5. Okay, I'm subtracting 10 on a solid, adding 5 on a dotted. I'm going to go ahead and write those in quick. Subtract 10 on that solid one, subtract 10 on that solid one, subtract 10 on that solid one. And I'm going to add 5 here. I'm going to add 5 here, and I'm going to add 5 here. Again, I think it's a great habit to get into of writing those on there. So 90 minus 10 is 80. 80 plus 5 is 85. 85 minus 10 is 75. 75 plus 5 is, write it on your board, and then do this one and this one. So I want you to have 3 numbers written on your board. What are the next 3 numbers? What would go here? What would go here? What would go here? Pause it. So you should have 75 plus 5 was 80. 80 minus 10 was 70. 70 plus 5, 75. So you should have had 80, 70, 75. Next one. Okay, so here's another one. I want you guys to put 5 spots to write on your whiteboard like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And figure out what would go on each one of these boxes. If I start here, do my rule, get here, do this dotted arrow rule, go here, solid arrow here, dotted arrow here, solid arrow here, dotted arrow, ending at 60. Pause it and try it. So here's what I do. My first rule is to add 5. So on my solid arrows, I need to add 5. Add 5. Add 5. On my dotted arrows, I need to add 10. Add 10, add 10. So here's what I'm thinking. To go from a number and add 5 to get to 20, that means I would have started, at 15. If I was at 20 and I added 10, I would have gone to 30. Now, I don't know why this isn't working here, but so let's just look at our last few here. Okay, I'm at 30. I add 5, I go to 35. If I'm at 35 and I add 10, I go to 45. If I'm at 45 and I add 5, I go to 50. And if I was at 50 and I added 10, I would end up at 60. So you should have had 15, 30, 35, 45, 50. If you did that, give yourself a pat on the back. Nice job. This one's pretty easy. So if I solid arrow, I add 10, dotted arrow, I subtract 5. Write down 3 spots to write on your board and try to figure out what these 3 boxes would be. Pause it and try it. Okay, hopefully you did something like this. On my solid arrow, I was adding 10, adding 10, adding 10. On my dotted arrows, I was subtracting 5, subtracting 5, subtracting 5. So I went like this. I went 10 plus 10 is 20. Minus 5 is 15. Plus 10 is 25. Minus 5, your first number should have been, did it again. It's annoying. Okay, your first number should have been 20. Then if I add 10 to 20, I should have had 30. And if I subtract 5 from 30, I should have ended at 25. Okay. All right, here's your Write About Math question for the day. It might be a little bit confusing, but hopefully if I explain it, it'll make more sense. It says this. Tom found the sum, or the answer of an addition problem, of 9 and 4, or 9 plus 4, by making 10. Explain what Tom did. Write and solve other addition problems using this strategy. So making 10 is probably going to be the confusing part here. What they mean by making 10 is they mean that he got to 10 and then he just added what was left over. So if he starts at 9 and he goes to 10, he went up 1. How many would he have left out of his 4 to get to 10? And then make up some other ones where you could get to 10 and then figure out the rest of your problem. Okay? If you need more help, I can help you with that. All done.